So the point of this video isn't really to talk about Asmongold specifically, it's more so to talk about live streaming overall. But Asmongold's recent I played DD1 video is what inspired me to do this. And I also think just using Asmongold, one of the biggest streamers in the world, makes this topic a little bit more interesting, as most of you guys, of course, already know who he is. So Asmon played Dragon's Dogma 1 for the first time ever on stream. And I have no idea how many people were watching, as I rarely watch streams myself, but I would assume anywhere from 20 to 60K concurrent viewers. It could have been more, maybe a little bit less. And this stream was also turned into a YouTube video, which is where I was exposed to it. But I was also exposed to the comment section, which is really the reason why I felt an urge to make this video. So let's take a look at a few of these comments, and we'll start with some of the top comments. I don't want to hear Asmon talking about hand-holding in video games ever again. He's literally the reason why it exists. This is the same guy who complained about hand-holding. Little did he know it was made for people like him. Death emoji. He's the reason why ledges are painted yellow. Ooh, that was a low one. Asmon's ability to completely ignore multiple game mechanics for extended periods of time, despite being told by the game and thousands of people over and over, is genuinely amazing. Now, we're going to actually talk about a few of these comments, and I'm going to explain why I think these comments come from a place of ignorance, but also understandable ignorance. Does that make sense? It's so painful to see Asmongold's brain not function for the first 10 hours of any new game. Game journalist level gameplay. Now, comments like that don't really matter, because who cares if it's game journalist level gameplay? You don't have to be good at video games. It's not really cool to be good at video games. At least when you become a mature adult, it's not really that cool. So, I mean, it's nice to be good at them, I guess, but it doesn't really matter, like, if you're not good at them. So, watching him play this game was absolutely unbearable. It's like watching an idiot or normie play a game for the first time. Doesn't understand how to use a lantern, even with advice right down the middle. Doesn't understand how to climb monsters, one of the most core features, even if the advice is written right down the middle. Doesn't understand where to go, even if the main quest is marked with a red circle on the map. Here's what happens to the human brain after 3 years of reaction content. Laughy. Pathetic. Didn't expect you to play the game as a brain-dead casual. It deserves more thoughtful treatment. There's no sign of an intelligent it should be life form in this whole 2-hour video. And the list goes on. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments. Actually, there's a couple thousand, and I would guess that 70% of these comments are all probably somewhat negative, and they are ripping on Asmongold, basically calling him a dumbass. Now, the first thing I want to say is that Dragon's Dogma is kind of complex, and many things in the game are not explained that well. So if you are a new player and you're struggling, don't listen to the elitist internet dudes that get their daily high trying to act like something was easy for them and then bringing down somebody else who might have had a harder time in that. Those people are just ridiculous. They're also extremely insecure. But getting that out of the way, that's not really even the focus of this video. Dragon's Dogma's difficulty does play a little bit of a role, but that's not the point here, because this can apply to many games. The point of this video is to talk about someone who's live streaming and how different of an environment that is compared to somebody who's not streaming and just playing by themselves, or even live streamers that haven't experienced streaming in front of a large audience before, because there is a difference between someone who streams in front of 3 to 5 to 20 people versus somebody that streams in front of 5,000 versus somebody that streams in front of 50,000. Now, if you want to know the perspective that I'm coming from here, I am a full-time content creator, but I only stream part-time, and I've streamed in front of 5,000 plus concurrent viewers multiple times. And on my average streams, I probably, if there's nothing going on, there's nothing hype going on, anywhere from 200 to 300 upwards to 500 or 600 is probably like an average night. When you're streaming in front of a large audience that you're actively trying to entertain, your brain is probably going in 1,000 different directions. Now, some streamers are, of course, better at this than others, but generally speaking, it's quite difficult to learn something new when you're only able to give this new activity, let's say, 30 to 50% of your focus. And this is why many streamers just simply won't stream certain types of games. They have like their thing that they know, and they stay within that because they feel comfortable, they feel like they're able to entertain, etc. Lucky for me, I have a big focus on CRPGs, one of the most complex genres in gaming. And you're damn straight, I look like an idiot many times when I'm trying to learn, especially CRPGs, which is why I don't play some of them, because I just want to enjoy them offline, where I can actually learn and focus. And the reason why you're seeing Josh Strife Hayes on the screen right now is because I think a lot of you guys also know him, especially if you know Asmongold, because they're both within the MMO community, is because I met Josh over in Belgium for the pre-release show for Baldur's Gate 3, and we were talking a little bit, and he told me, I asked him, are you going to stream Baldur's Gate 3? And his response immediately was no. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but the response was something along the lines of, that's going to ruin the game for me because I'm not going to be able to focus on it, and I'm not going to be able to entertain while I'm trying to focus on this new CRPG. And also, it just won't be enjoyable for a game that requires focus because you want to immerse yourself within the game. So when I see comments like this, he's the reason why ledges are painted yellow with so many thumbs up here. It is a funny comment, but I also just think it's a comment that doesn't come from a place of actually understanding what Asmongold is doing. And please do not confuse this video with talking about streaming being a hard job or anything. That has nothing to do with it. We're simply talking about just the live streaming environment and that multitasking nature of it and how people perceive that. That's all that this video is about. But if I had to guess, if Asmongold was playing offline and he wasn't streaming and he could just sit there and he had nothing to worry about, nothing to stress about, no comments going through his head from the chat, and he was just looking at the game, he would probably be able to understand the game just as well as most players, if not even better, because clearly he's not a stupid guy. He's obviously quite articulate and also very successful. He's not a stupid guy, so I think he would be perfectly fine. But when you put Asmon into the live streaming environment and learning new things, this is probably one of his weaker areas, I guess you could say. And I also feel like it's kind of one of my weaker areas as well. But where it's a little bit frustrating, just a little bit, because like I said, this doesn't really matter, is that I also think that the vast majority of people commenting that Asmon is dumb and that he's so stupid when he plays games would be at least the same as him, if not even worse. Of course, there's going to be people that excel better in these types of situations, but I have a feeling that most people that say these things would look ridiculous if they were live streaming. And the hard thing is they're probably never going to ever experience that because there's only such a small percentage of people that actually do this as a job in front of large audiences. So people are just never truly going to understand, which is okay. Comments like this: doesn't understand how to use a lantern even with advice written down the middle, doesn't understand how to climb monsters even if the advice is written right down the middle. I totally understand where this commenter is coming from, and I probably might have even shared that perspective if I didn't actually become a content creator or a streamer myself. But this is actually totally understandable to me why a streamer might not catch something that pops up in the tutorial in front of them. And it's simply because they're looking at the chat, then they're processing something in their head. When they look back at the game, they're thinking about how to respond to somebody in the chat while also trying to learn the game with something else going on in the screen. It's actually possible to miss things that pop up, or you just don't really fully notice them. And this gets even worse when you look at a chat that's maybe making fun of you, or even backseat gaming. I did see a comment in that section saying, how can Asmon not understand this when his audience is telling him the answer? Well, when you look over at his chat, first of all, there's thousands of messages coming in almost every single minute. Everybody's telling him what to do, but everybody has a different way of telling him what to do. And then you read two comments that are different from one another, and now you have that conflict going on in your head. You don't know who's actually right. And then if you try to follow directions on the stream, it gets even more stressful because you're looking at the game and they go left, but it's delayed a little bit, and you miss the left turn, and then you're looking back at it's absolutely nuts. And regarding the comments that state that Asmon says that he doesn't like games that have a lot of hand-holding, but he's the definition of players that need hand-holding, so how could he actually say that he doesn't like games like that? Well, I totally believe him when he says that, because it's just simply because the live streaming environment is totally different than if you're playing a game offline and there's zero pressure. And maybe, I don't know, Asmon, maybe he has anxiety or things like that, which make it even worse when you're live streaming. Now I'm bringing up Splattercat Gaming, for example, because he plays a ton of games, and sometimes I'll check out a game through his channel. A lot of his comments can also be kind of like a little bit condescending and a little bit rude and a little bit mean to him. But even with this, with video work of him playing the game, he is talking constantly during these. I think he's probably always worrying about trying to keep you guys entertained while you're watching the video, even though he's not live streaming. So this is also just a totally different environment, and players that don't do this successfully will just never be able to understand that themselves unless they just listen to people tell them that and believe them, such as what I'm doing right now. I don't know if anybody's gonna believe me or even care. And believe it or not, even my Baldur's Gate 3 Let's Play series came with its own set of challenges in terms of me trying to focus on the game. Granted, it was much more chill than a live stream. I greatly enjoyed doing this series. I found myself constantly worrying that I wasn't keeping things moving well enough. I didn't want to sit there and check my inventory too much and things like that, and that caused me to miss some things that I wouldn't have if I was just playing offline with nothing to worry about. And that's pretty much it for this video. I didn't really think about it too much. I just wanted to make a quick video to try to offer a little bit of a different perspective as a part-time streamer who looks at this sometimes, at how other streamers are doing and how people are receiving them. I think it's perfectly valid for people to tell Asmon, like, hey, you trying to learn this game while also live streaming isn't enjoyable to watch, and the numbers, if it's really not enjoyable to watch, then the numbers won't lie, and he'll see that and he'll probably change up his content strategy. But I just disagree with all the comments that just call a streamer or a content creator just, you're dumb as hell, you idiot, you're so stupid to watch. Like, most of the people saying this would also look pretty damn stupid if they were entertaining an audience and also trying to play a game. So it's just a little frustrating to see that. But like, who really cares, I guess? Does anybody even care about this? Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want some more content, I live stream on YouTube, but I also just recently started multi-streaming to Twitch as well at WolfheartFPS. And I do videos all the time. Living the dream, baby.